Greetings. So in this video, I'm going to be reassembling the gauge cluster, and I'm going to be using parts that I've restored or just simply bought new, and I'll tell you why I bought new. This is the old gauge cluster assembly, and this is the new. I had to replace it because somebody cut up the video. And so if you hang with me to the end, I'm not only going to show putting all this back together, I'm actually going to show how it connects back to the car electronically and how it attaches. Okay, so I'm going to start with installing these air vents up here on the top, and I just want to show there's a little metal bar, okay, that keeps these levers together. That goes on the top, and there's a male and a female end, and they slide in here just like this. They all go together, and I want to show you something about the metal clips. Okay, so before we get to the metal clips, I'll show you on my old gauge cluster thing. See how wide this opening is, and then this one is more narrow. The reason why it's more narrow is because if you see there, okay, that takes the male in. So it needs to be wider to take that end of the vent. Okay, and then that's how the vents go back in there. Let's get those metal clips on. Okay, so the metal clips, this, see how it's got a wider mouth that goes on this side. I'm sorry, I'm showing the back of my hands here, but okay, now I'm not pushing these down just yet. And these metal clips, the flare goes to the outside, and the longer part goes to the inside. Okay. And again, same thing on the other side. So we're going to do it just like that. Okay. So I'm just going to push these down the rest of the way, and that's it for the vents. Okay, so let's take one last look at the vents because I want to show this. So there's that side with the narrow cut, and this other side, it actually goes, the metal bracket goes the other way because it has a bigger opening. But if you dig into it, you should see, and this center clip has brackets that stop, see that it has a flare out that stop these vents from just spinning, you know, all the way around or what have you. Okay, so there's the vents back in, and I'm really excited about it. I think it looks good with the new gauge cluster plate and the vents. So let's keep moving. Next, we're going to do this, I think they call it a map light. So we're going to get that put back in. Okay, for this map light, I've got my gauge cluster thing jimmied, my stand, and I just want to point out that there is a front and back to this thing. Okay, and there's also a little blue film, lens rather, that has to be set in there, and so the small part of the triangle goes towards the back of the gauges, and then it just goes up like that. Okay, so I have it in there. It's like that. There's that blue lens I was telling you about. Okay, so it kind of just sits there, but I got to be careful with it. And then the plate. Okay, just like that. And now I'm going to put the actual light mechanism on. And so it goes just like this. There's a screw hole, there's that. This goes around that. And so I'm going to set the camera down and put that on. So I do want to digress for just a moment. These two right here and here are actually flare nuts, and so they're a little cumbersome to get on, but if you're familiar with these C3 Corvettes, these flare nuts are used all over the place. So, I mean, they're kind of slick how they work, but they're kind of a pain in the butt too, but whatever. Okay, so I'm just kind of spread out over our dining room table here. But there's the vents, and there is the map light. Okay, that's how that's in there. And it is back, so we are making progress. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is start putting the lensing in behind here. And honestly, I wasn't even going to buy new lenses, but I don't know if the camera can see this. This looks really old, and so, and not just that, but so do these little, you know, fasten your seatbelt and low fuel. What's the other one? Okay, yeah, Jen. So I went out and I bought new lensing from Mid-America Motor Works. I'm not being sponsored by them in any way. I'm just telling you where I chose to get the items. There's the part numbers if that helps you. So, but you know, this was only like $19. I think these were like $9 a piece or something. And so just there's no sense in spending all this time and what little bit of money I do have, but invested into it. But you know, it made no sense to put it all back together and have the whole thing look old because of worn, scratched up lensing. So, you know, for under 30 bucks, yeah, I'm just doing all new lensing. So, let's get this thing put back together. Okay, so putting in this new lensing, there's no real trick to it. It's just a simple little trick. So, I want to show you, this is the old one, so you can see why I wanted to buy new. Okay, so inside here, there's a notch right there, and on the lens, there's a notch right there, and on the housing for it, there is a notch right there. I'm going to clean a little bit of this up here, and then I'm going to stack all this back in here. Okay, now that I've got that cleaned up, I'm going to put the lens in there. This is the low fuel and the gin. Okay, and then I'm going to stack this on top of it, just like so. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now for the other side, there's my old lensing, which was pretty tore up. I did try to clean it and stuff, but it's just, you know, for $9, get a new one, fastened belts. Okay, and so that goes in just like this. There's only one way it can go in. So, okay, perfect, got that. Okay, so there's all the lensing in place, and I just gave it a quick once over and make sure there's no smudges or fingerprints. That would be frustrating to get it all back together and see a thumbprint or something. So looks like it's good to go. I'm going to try to jimmy my camera stand so I can use both my hands and you can watch me put the main gauge assembly on there. Okay, so I think I've got this prepped and I've cleaned up these gauges here. Okay, so and I'm trying to do this looking through the camera, so, and I know there's a clock thing that has to line up. This is a little scary because I don't want to scratch anything, but we're going to do it. Okay. I'll have a little trouble with that. Here we go. All right. All right, I think we got it lined up. Let's get that on there. Okay, so wait a minute. I think I made a little bit of a mistake in that, yeah, I did. These have to go on. So this metal frame has to come off, and these have to go on here. Like so. Okay. So let's try that again. Okay, so let me put this back together. Now we're gonna get it here, I think. Okay, so there's that. Okay, yeah, that had to go on just like that, I think. Okay, so now that I have those flare housings in there, now I can line this up. And I'm looking for that clock. Okay, it's a little tricky. There it is. There. Okay. All right. I'm just going to secure it in place here. Okay. I've kind of been struggling with this. Every time I think I get it, I see an error. So I'm going to do this another way. I'm going to stack this with this. And I think that's what I'm doing wrong. And so I've never done this before, I confess, and I'm just making an honest video as I go along. So I think I was stacking too much away from the unit, and I'm just going to build it in place. I think that's what I was doing wrong. So I'm going to build this in place here. Okay, so now I'm going to put, yeah, these in place. Okay, right there. And now this one, I'm sorry to show the back of my hand so much, but this is not for the faint of heart, let me tell you. All right, now, okay, so now I think I'm ready to get that on there. Okay, so I realized at first I was doing it like a true splatter ass, but now I've built the stack in place, and that will hopefully get things, oh my gosh, so much easier, so much easier, so much cheesier when you build it in place. And then I've got some number 6 by 1/2 sheet metal screws that I'm going to be screwing this down with. Okay, so there's 4 screws, and I'm doing this while I'm watching through the camera to make sure I'm recording my video. Okay, here we go. Nice. Okay. Yes, that's great. Okay. Screwing that down nice and taut. All right. Okay, so now I've got the 4 screws screwed down nice and taut. And this is a good time to point out that these copper connections, I had one of them a little out of place, so I put it back in place. And I'm going to talk about this here in just a moment, but I want to take time right now, real quick, to show these 2 flares right here that stick out. This is for, better look at it, it's for the radio. If you see my video on the center console, then you've seen me address this already, but for those who haven't, let me tell you, if you remove the center console or the gauge cluster, beneath the radio, there's these right here that hold the center console and this gauge cluster console nice and taut and hold them together. And there's some bolts that run through there, and they're so easy to miss and so easy to break off. So just a little tip. Okay, so let's take a look at this. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, so there's the dome. I'm going to take this camera off the stand here and we'll take a better look at this. Okay, so I'm getting excited. Here it is. This is the new gauge cluster piece here. I've got all the stuff back on it, and yeah, I'm pretty excited. It's looking good. Wow, what a difference. Let me show the old one. Okay, yeah, there's the old one. I think the camera can pick up how bad it looked. And I picked up this new plastic piece for $100, $19 for the lens, gauge cluster lens, $9 a piece for these side lenses. I reused this. I reused these vents. I made a video about that, making them look new. And yeah, I'm going to try to buy next the original radio. And as promised, I'm going to show real quick how this this whole assembly comes out, and I'm going to show you on the dashboard too, so bear with me. But it really comes down to these screw holes here, and I'll show you where they go. And there's two more up here. Okay, those 4 screws go into the dash, and then, like I said, these here go into the center console. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws holding on this plastic piece. And we're going to take a look at that on the dash here in just a moment. Electronically, it all comes down to this plug, and I'll show you what the other end of it looks like in the car here in just a moment. But I don't mean to ramble on, but I am excited. This is just made a heck of a difference. I mean, I just can't believe it. How, you know, for years I've seen it like this, and now it's looking like this. I already got the center console in place, and we're gonna go out there in the garage and take a look at this. I've taken over the dining room table, so my wife will be excited to get her dining room table back, and I just can't tell you how excited I am. This, you know, to do this without this new lensing would just been ridiculous. I can't believe I even thought about that. Under 30 bucks, all new lensing. Wow, this just looks great. Okay, as promised, I'll show you where that comes in to the dash. I have my dash out, but there's the 2 top, and then there's the side one, and there's the side one. Let's go inside the car and take a look where it meets up with the dash. Okay, so there's my center console. And you saw me rebuild that. I put the new faceplate on and all that. And so those other ends are right down here to accept that you know, right beneath the radio. And then the electrical plug, we stick this light somewhere here. There we go. And then there's the gauge cluster electrical plug. Goes in there. Just like that. So that's it. If you're familiar with my channel, then you've seen me redoing all this stuff. Getting ready to put the dash in, so I'm trying to do all the prep work to get the new dash in. They told me that it might be 8, 10, 12 weeks for the dash. So it might be a while before I make the actual installing the new dash video, but I've got lots of little things that I'm doing anyway. So, and I've got other videos if you're curious to see this car. I've got lots of videos out there on me messing with this car, and a lot of fun. So thanks for watching. A lot of fun. I got all new badging and new paint on the car, so I'm excited. Once this interior gets done, new badging made a world of difference. Anyway, so yeah, once I get this interior all done, which I am nearly there. I'm going to try to finish this interior here in the next few months. So I'm excited.